Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. If you say Sharia law is reasonable, if you want to cut off the genitals of women you hate, if you threaten President Trump with jihad, no, you're not necessarily a member of ISIS. You might just be a liberal feminist. The organizer of the Women's March, the same Women's March that excluded women like me because I'm pro-life, the organizer of that march called for jihad against President Trump. Her name is Linda Sarsour. She was the leader of the millions of women who turned out in the streets to protest Trump and demand free birth control. Now she's calling for jihad against our president. Watch.
When we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad, that we are struggling against tyrants and rulers, not only abroad in the Middle East or in the other side of the world, but here in these United States of America, where you have fascists and white supremacists and Islamophobes reigning in the White House.
I'd act surprised, but this is the same woman who tweeted that Sharia law is reasonable. This is the same woman who threatened to cut off the vaginas of Brigitte Gabriel and Ayaan Hirsi Ali, two women who dared to disagree with Sarsour on Islam. Is this how Sarsour reacts? Blaspheme the prophet and you deserve to die? Oh wait, yeah, that does sound like jihad. The irony is, under Sharia law, Linda Sarsour and feminists like her wouldn't be allowed to march in the streets. Under Sharia law, Linda Sarsour could be stoned to death for apostasy for criticizing the leader of the nation. Under Sharia law, Linda Sarsour wouldn't have been allowed to speak to a room full of men without the permission of her husband or her father or her brother. Under Sharia law, Linda Sarsour wouldn't have been able to leave her home without covering her face. Under Sharia law, if the men in her family didn't like what she said, they could have beat her with a stick. But only if the stick's no larger than a man's thumb. Does that sound reasonable to you? The people disagreeing with Linda Sarsour clearly don't understand what jihad means. Liberal lunatics are actually defending Linda Sarsour. They're so obsessed with their own anti-Trump hatred, it's become a literal religion to them. We don't understand what jihad means? Tell that to the 49 people killed by a radical Islamist waging jihad at Pulse nightclub in Orlando. Tell that to the 14 people killed by a radical Islamist waging jihad at a work holiday party in San Bernardino, California. Tell that to the 5 people killed by a radical Islamist waging jihad at the airport in Fort Lauderdale. Tell that to the 5 people killed by a radical Islamist waging jihad at a military recruiting office in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We don't understand jihad? Tell that to the 2 Christians beheaded in New Jersey, the 11 people stabbed in Columbus, Ohio, the 2 people shot just 2 months ago in Florida for disrespecting the prophet, and the 3,000 American men, women, and children who died on September 11, 2001 at the hands of radical Islamists waging jihad. Then come back and tell me again that I don't understand jihad. And tell me again why radical leftist feminists in this nation follow behind a woman who calls for jihad against our president. Until then, I'll sit here and I'll wait for Cecile Richards and Hillary Clinton and Jessica Valenti, Gloria Steinem, Leah Dunham, Chelsea Handler, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and the rest of their progressive feminist ilk to condemn fellow feminist Linda Sarsour for calling for jihad against the President of the United States of America. And that's my final point tonight. You can reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you liked the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. In the meantime, catch us here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until then, have a good night.